Again, welcome. I will introduce Vasilis already if he needs introduction. He is the Associate Director for the MBA, RSM MBA programs. I am Charlene. I am the Recruitment and Admissions Manager. I primarily take care of the Europe, Middle East and Africa region. And Vasilis, would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course, thank you so much, Charlene. It's always great to, I think this is probably our third or fourth info session that we run together. Fourth,
I think. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, so that's always great. So thank you so much. My name is Vasilis, indeed, I'm the Associate Director for the MBA admissions at RSM. I'm primarily responsible in overseeing the admissions and recruitment for the 3 MBA programs that we offer at the school. And I have the great pleasure and privilege to be able to work with Charlene and the rest of the team for the recruitment and admission efforts, also for, of course, for the international full-time MBA program.
So I'm Charlene, I'm the admissions manager for the EMEA region. I've been with RSM for a couple of years now. And so I'm delighted to be here today to share some hopefully valuable information with you. So that's us. So our agenda today, we'll just talk a little bit about Rotterdam as a city. Then we'll move on to talk about the curriculum, talk about the current class, what it looks like, and also, you know, what kind of a class we're looking for. Then we'll have a look at the extracurricular activities that happen if you manage to have some spare time during your MBA. And then, of course, the important stuff, you know, post-MBA, what are you going to do post-MBA? What are your career goals and that kind of thing, and how we can help you with that. And then finally, we will go into the application, what that process looks like, some tips and tricks on that. And finally, we will take all of your questions. So yeah, we live in a great city. We are very lucky, you know, and I mean, you see, today is a very good example because the sun is shining and everybody's happy, it's great. But, you know, Rotterdam has a lot going for it. It is not what we say a typical Dutch city because of its history, and it was destroyed during the Second World War. So it is very new city, very experimental in terms of architecture, very diverse. As you can see, there's 170 different nationalities in the city with about 650,000 population. So it is a nice size. It's big enough that it feels like a city, yet, you know, within 15 minutes you can get on your bike from one end of the city to the other. So for me, it's just the right size. In terms of then Netherlands as a country, of course, you may know that they're the world's best non-native speakers of English, which makes it really nice and comfortable for expats like me and Vasilis. And also, I mean, it's a really healthy economy. The world's number 17 of GDP. So it has a lot of different industries. So anything from FMCG to IT, you know, a lot of pharmaceuticals, consultancy, finance, and all that kind of thing. So it's a good place to be for your career as well. Am I missing out anything about that you would like to add about Rotterdam as a city?
No, I think indeed what you mentioned, Charlene, I can definitely resonate with this. I've been living here for almost 14 years now, and I'm also an expat like yourself. Still, my Dutch is quite weak, I would say, but that has never been an issue or a problem for me, for my day-to-day life, for my career. So from that point, no issues whatsoever. Oh, and also something really interesting as well to add here. As Charlene mentioned, indeed, the Netherlands stands as the 17th largest economy in the world. But aside from this, the Dutch people are also ranked really high when it comes down to happiness. And that's also a very important thing to consider and to look into when you're looking into a place, not to do necessarily your MBA, but also to be able to live and work there. So the economy is one thing, But on the other hand, as a society, as a country, when you know that you and perhaps in the future your families can live in a place that is really happy. I mean, the Dutch kids are the happiest in the world. So that also goes to show a lot about the country, culture, and the people.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. The work-life balance is certainly very healthy. So it probably contributes to the happiness. So that's Rotterdam. Nice place to be. And next now we get into the meaty stuff, and that is the curriculum. So the full-time program is a 12-month program. Well, it's just kind of under 12 months, 11 and a half months really. We start in the first week of January and it runs through until mid-December. So it's a very busy year. I think most people underestimate how busy it is. Really, for the first chunk of the year, you will be in class from 9 to 5, 9:30 to 4:30. But then on top of that, you've got a lot of pre-reading, getting ready for the next sessions the next day, and also reviewing what you've done that day. So they are very full days. And the way the curriculum is split is into 4 terms. So I like to kind of see it as 2 halves, term 1 and 2, really building that solid business foundation. And then terms 3 and 4, you get into more of the, let's say customizing your experience. And that is in things like study tours and electives. So yeah, I always see it kind of in 2 halves, building a solid foundation and then customizing. Vasilis, I think the curriculum is your expertise. I'll let you talk.
Thanks, Charlie. No, I think, I really like how you presented in the sense of the 2 divisions, because indeed, that's how the curriculum is sort of built upon. So the first and the second term, as Charlene already mentioned, that gives you the foundations that you need from the business side, from all the business tools as a future, as a professional in the future, regardless of the industry or function that you'll be holding. So therefore, the first and the second term, you cover all the core courses anywhere from finance, marketing, strategy, operations, and so on and so forth. Then you move on to the third term, and the third term kicks off with a very, very interesting and one of the most important parts of the MBA, which is the Living Management Project. If you get the chance to speak with current students, or actually not current because they're not there yet, but with alumni, you'll definitely hear that the Living Management Project was a highlight of the program. Because this is the first chance that you'll be getting as students to be able to work with a real company, with an actual company on a real life case. So every year we bring the companies on campus. I think last year we had 13 companies that we worked with, and every company will be working with 2 teams of students. So they're bringing in a challenge that they're facing, an issue that they want to work on. So basically the teams of the students, they're becoming external consultants for that client. So we have companies anywhere from Nike, Shell, McKinsey, Procter & Gamble, Unilever, banks, smaller consulting boutique firms, LG, Philips, coming in, and they work with the students. For a lot of students, and I think Charlene, because we're both interviewing a lot of candidates throughout the year, we hear a lot of times from people that they would like to go into consulting after graduation. So this is a very, very important moment that you're able to see, is a consulting career potentially suitable for me? Because you're working as consultants for that firm. So that's a month project. And a lot of times it turns out that the projects were really successful, and students continued working with the companies. Some of them managed to get an internship or even direct employment. Then you see the skills bootcamp. That's a full week that you'll be working together with our career services department, where you'll be working a lot on your soft skills development further, and also getting additional tools that you need for your future career. Advanced career concentrations. This is the 3-week advanced career course that we give you the option to basically customize your program, but also to dive deeper into one of the areas that you find it more interesting, or perhaps this is the area that you would like to work in the future. So we have 5 different options that you can select from: finance, marketing, strategy, supply chain management, or sustainability. In the last term, the 4th term, this is where you customize the program even more. So here you have 2 options. So the first option, you can either stay with RSM for the 4th term, and if you decide to do so, you're traveling abroad for 1 week as part of your study tour, our international study tours. Every year we offer different destinations that you can select from, and then you're back for your 4 elective courses. We offer, I would say, it's anywhere around 35 to 40 different elective courses that you can select from, and that's where you can dive even deeper into one subject if you want to, or you can also spread it out. You can do 1 course from strategy, 1 from finance, 1 course from marketing, and 1 course from supply chain management. That's completely up to you. Or the second option that you have is for you to go for an international exchange at one of our partner universities around the world. And if you decide to do that, of course, the electives that you choose, they will come from that university and not from our curriculum. So that's pretty much the curriculum on a nutshell, or a little bit more than a nutshell, but yeah. Charlene, did
Yeah, you know, I think that, you gave really good detail around each of the areas. And of course, if you guys have any questions around any specific area, then please do put it in the chat, or of course, you know, reach out to one of us individually, and we'd be happy to clarify anything for you. So moving on then to what our current class looks like. So our current class started on the 5th of January this year. We have 152 students from 46 different countries. We have 45% female, and the average years of experience is about 7 years, 6.5, 7 years. So, you know, you can see just by looking at those numbers how diverse our class is. And it doesn't happen by chance. We work, us as an admissions team, a recruitment team, we work really hard to get it like that. So we really want diversity, we really value diversity, and that is diversity of professional or academic, and also nationality, right? We feel like this gives very rich experience in class, and particularly when you're talking about, you know, in-class discussion, maybe case studies where everybody's really coming at the same problem or the same story from a different angle. So it really allows you to, I guess, open up your mind and see and learn from others' experience. And so, yeah, I mean, we talk about diversity, and then that's why it is important to us to recruit individuals who value diversity. Yeah.
Definitely, and I'll just quickly add here, Charlene, as well, really very quickly. I think also the recruitment and admissions team, we are also walking the talk, in the sense we're 14 people in our department, and we have 10 different nationalities. So we're quite an international team as well, well-traveled, so we can also really understand the different cultures, where you're coming from, and the way that you view world and the things. And we're always here to understand and you know, to see how we can help you and assist you further.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think our team is very representative of, well, of the class, but also of the city of Rotterdam. So very international. Yeah, so just outside of the curriculum then as well, you can keep yourself busy, and as you should, because, you know, the networking and building relationships is really a big part of the MBA. And it's actually probably the trickiest part of the MBA is finding that balance of like the academic, and of course you have to keep up with your studies and everything like that, but also make time for extracurricular stuff, and, you know, do what interests you, whether that's joining a club or association. Here's some things that go on in terms of clubs. If on this list your club of choice doesn't exist, well, you know, it's up to you to make one yourself. But yeah, it's really important, this part, to build a good network with your cohort, yeah, because that's really, you're also your family for life, let's say, and these people you can reach out to your whole career and help each other and things like that. So I think it's very important to put the time and effort in there. So here we move on to the careers piece. What do people do after their MBA? Generally, many of our graduates accept opportunities here in the Netherlands, and that's 82%. So a lot of people tend to choose to stay in the Netherlands for reasons that we talked about at the very beginning of the presentation. That is good, strong job opportunities, good work-life balance, happy people, sometimes nice weather, and but really we are there, and our careers team are there to support you, whether you decide that you want to stay in the Netherlands or you decide maybe to go elsewhere. So during the course of the program, you will be working with the careers team and your own individual career coach as well. So it's a good idea to already have a general idea of what direction you want to go in. I mean, you don't have to know exactly what that looks like, but to have a general idea is always a good start. And then you would make a plan, and then, you know, it's all about filling in the gaps. It's like if you need to maybe work on, I don't know, management or leadership, or some soft skills, or maybe some finance, or, you know, it could be soft skills or hard skills, but being able to clarify that, identify those gaps, and then work on them throughout the course of the 12 months, right, Vasilis?
Yeah, definitely. No, I think you know, getting all these opportunities for your career post your MBA, very important. I think, as Charlene mentioned, it's you see the large percentage of people being able to stay abroad, to stay in the Netherlands, to stay in Europe, and because a lot of times we get the questions, okay, where am I going to go afterwards? So you have a lot of different options, and we work very closely with different companies every year, and even last year, because we also get this question, especially recently, how are things now with COVID? How are things going? How is the hiring? How is the recruitment going? Yes, overall, the economy has seen a slowdown for sure. On the other hand, we're still able to place students. We're still able to work really closely with companies for them to be able to find a job. Our last year's class just literally graduated officially on Friday. We were able to have a virtual graduation ceremony. Again, not let's say what we wished for, but it was still a great opportunity for them to see each other virtually. Some of them, of course, we were able to see in some Zoom cameras, like 5 people being together. So again, bringing people together, that was the main thing. But again, you'll have the option to be able to stay here. We get a question on the chat because we're talking about the international careers and everything else. So why is the MBA called an international full-time MBA? Is it because of 99% international participants? Not necessarily. It's a program that, of course, is targeting people from all over the world, including, of course, the Netherlands. We are based in the Netherlands. But it has to do with the curriculum really bringing the international elements and the aspect to you within the classroom, from topics, cases that you'll be able to do from different industries, from different countries. So that gives you, it's a doorway to be able to have this global aspect in your education. So I don't know if that,
yeah. I think it's probably a good place to mention. I mean, I guess it's why we probably score very highly in international mobility when it comes to the ratings, right? So I think that's probably one of our highest scoring areas. Is that it is. Yeah, I mean, it's great if you decide to stay in the Netherlands. Yeah, great, but it doesn't just count there. You know, it's recognized globally. So I guess that feeds into that a little bit, right?
of course.
Okay, so let's have a look at the application process. So I want to kind of take the fear out of the application process because it is quite straightforward. Really, the trickiest part is that we do require a Gmat score or a GRE score. So that, of course, takes time because you need to prepare for the test and study up and stuff. But really, after that, what we require and what we ask for is not complicated, really. So first of all, let's have a look at the admissions criteria. You do need to have a minimum of a bachelor's. Of course, many people also have masters, but you only just require a bachelor's. You do require 3 years of postgraduate professional experience. And this experience does not include internships. So 3 years post-bachelor's. Okay, yeah, a global mindset. Yeah, ideally you will have worked with international teams, for example. You will value diversity. And this is what we mean by a global mindset. So really, I would always put that forward in your application if you have international exposure. English proficiency, of course, everything is taught through English, so that is a requirement. It is not an application requirement to have a TOEFL or an IELTS test, but we do require proficiency. And then soft skills, not as measurable as something like a Gmat score, but very important nonetheless. So soft skills we mean, you know, your ability to communicate, for example, your ability to self-reflect, to be empathetic and things like that. So these are very important skills to have. And now we look at the process. So ideally, we will have met you at some point before we see your application, and whether that's in a webinar, whether that's in a consultation session at an MBA fair and that kind of thing. So often the recruitment and admissions manager, which is me and Carrie and another colleague, we will have met you before. So we'll have had a conversation of some kind. So the next stage is then you decide, okay, yes, I'm ready to do my application. I want to go forward. And there you submit and upload all your application documents through our system, through our website, and the back end system of that is called Embark. So you can work away on your application. I mean, you can open an application today if you want and work away on that. And then just when you're ready to submit, you can submit it. So you don't have to like do it all in one day or anything like that. So it can be an ongoing process. Then all going well, you will be invited for an admissions interview. So along with that, you receive an invitation for an admissions interview and also to complete a Kira talent assessment. So the Kira is something we use to see how you communicate and what is your behavioral style. So it's a kind of a one-way interview, if you like, and you will have 3 questions to answer. 1 is written and 2 is oral. And yeah, then the interview will be conducted over Zoom generally, about 45 minutes in duration, and that will be with one of the admissions team. Yeah, regular interview type questions. You know, think about your strengths, your weaknesses, and that kind of thing. Although, yeah, areas for development. I think weaknesses isn't PC these days. And anyway, then after that, after the interview, there's the decision phase. Decision, all going well, you would receive an email with an offer. And in that same email, if you had been awarded a scholarship, then you would also get information about that in the same email. Vasilis, is there anything you'd like to add here on the process, or would you like to wait until further when we get into the details?
Yeah, just very, very quickly, because last time we also, the 2 of us, we ran a webinar on how to ace your interview. So this recording is also available for if people are interested to still watch the 2 of us talking about it for a different topic. So yeah, that's what I wanted to mention, on top of the fact what you mentioned earlier, Charlene, about the soft skills. And the interview definitely focuses a lot on that, because indeed it's by far the most qualitative thing that we're looking for. So that's really coming out of an interview.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now let's get to the rounds. So we have 6 deadlines in our application cycle. We have passed the first one, and now we're coming up to the second one. So 6th of April is our second deadline. So we see that there's a lot of people busy in completing their applications ahead of that deadline. Of course, then after this one, there's still 4 remaining. The last date is the 2nd of November. So these are the optimize your application. So really, this is just about tips and tricks about, yeah, how do I get the best out of my application? As you know, our mission statement is all around the force for positive change. And also that is why we ask you to write an essay on that theme. So how have you been, or how can an MBA help you to be a force for positive change in the world? And that is a tough one, because it really, you can write about anything, you know. It doesn't have to be this massive, you know, dramatic example. It can be something that really resonates with you and means a lot to you, and something small that you do in your everyday life even, that helps to be a force for positive change in the world. So definitely that is very important for us. We do also, we understand as well that, you know, our students, you know, they want to get an MBA because maybe they want to earn more money, or maybe they want to be a manager and things like that, which is absolutely fine. But we would also ask you to question maybe a bigger reason to doing an MBA. Maybe that you want to be a really good leader, to help people, and this kind of thing. So I think thinking about that is very useful, especially for your interview. And that kind of feeds into understanding your why. Why do I want to do an MBA? Yeah, for bigger salary, perhaps, but why else? Understanding your real motivations behind that. Now, identifying your blind spots. This is areas for development piece. So really think about you know, how you could be better professionally, or think about maybe any feedback that you've previously got from co-workers or a manager, for example, about what area professionally you could improve upon. Because it is important for us that you are self-reflective and that you're aware of, yeah, of course you're aware of things you're really good at, but maybe, you know, that you're aware of things, areas you'd like to improve. Yeah, and the last one, be open, be curious, and embrace diversity. That is very RSM. And I think also it is a good idea to have that mindset going into an MBA, and you can get a lot more out of the experience. Well, yeah, we've come to the Q&A part. Let's open it up and see. So we have a few questions here. I have one here. Thank you, Matthew. Is sustainability a theme throughout the entire curriculum or just specific electives? Vasilis, would you like to grab that one?
Yes, of course. More than happy. It's a mix of both. So sustainability, we offer that, as I mentioned earlier, as one of the career concentration tracks that you can choose from. So you do an advanced course on sustainability. We also have elective courses on the fourth term on sustainability that you could choose from. However, I would say it's a thread line that goes through the different courses. I'll give you an example because I am an MBA student myself as we speak. So I'm doing our through different tools that they're using. They're working towards not only the benefits, the financial benefits of the shareholders, but we're talking about the benefits towards society, the benefits towards people. So outside of the specific sustainability related courses, there's also, this is a theme that it goes throughout the program.
Yeah, thank you, Vasilis. The second question, I would like to ask about contingency plan for COVID-19 pandemic situation. Is RSM planning to continue online courses? Yeah, so I can take this one. Our international full-time MBA program is ideally an in-person program, and that's how we want it, and that's how our students want it. Of course, at the moment, we are online. We are waiting for the green light from the Dutch government to go back into the classroom. But unfortunately, we don't have, we have to wait until it's allowed. So, you know, if we're talking starting the program next year, I mean, we would hope that it would be back in classroom. Of course, I do imagine that these behaviors like the 1.5 meter distancing and all of the precautionary measures will still be in place for when we go back into the live environment. But yeah, we would hope that we're back in classroom by January 2022.
Yeah, and actually, as you said, Charlene, the moment the Dutch government gives the green light to go back to face-to-face classes, we're going to go back. Mm-hmm. So here in the Netherlands, we have a press conference taking place every 3 weeks. So I think the next one is coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So at that point in time, if the government says that you can actually go back into face-to-face classes, we're ready to switch back to face-to-face. But of course, as Charlene already mentioned, with following all the measures in keeping the students, staff, and faculty safe and secure. more questions here. So I'll take this one. I think this is linked to what we were saying before. Is it campus-based or online? No, the program is campus-based. So this year, even though due to COVID, the classes have been running online, all the students are here in the Netherlands. So they're based here with their, of course, they all got the student visa. So they were here. Therefore, yeah, the program is campus-based and not online.
Great. This is one about references. Do both your referees need to submit the recommendation before the deadline? If, say, they submit in a couple of days after the deadline, would that be okay? Yeah, that would absolutely be okay. Just give them a heads up that it will take about 15 minutes to complete. And if they say completed a couple of days after the deadline, after you submit your application, that's absolutely fine.
Okay, I'll take the next one here. Shimo, thank you so much for also joining. First, is there any overlap between the advanced career opportunities? For example, if my two interests are sustainability and supply chain management, are there are opportunities to learn how the two interconnect. For example, learning about sustainability or sustainable packaging in a supply chain management. So during the advanced career concentration, when you pick, you need to pick one of the five. So you cannot combine the two. However, what I mentioned earlier, if, for example, you select supply chain management as your career concentration over the third term, moving into your elective period, you can do a mix of your electives from sustainability and from supply chain management, so you can have both there together. The second part of the question, for the living management project, are companies and projects assigned to students, or is the student's interest taken into consideration? So basically what we do, we work together with the companies. So the companies already have access to the profiles of the teams. So they make the recommendation and they're like, okay, we would like to work with this team. And we also, of course, make the recommendation from our side. Of course, we take into consideration the backgrounds and interests of people, but you need to understand that it's not always possible to put every student to a company that they're interested in, because as I mentioned earlier, you're working as external consultants. These are your clients. So as the client wants to receive a specific background of people to help them out in their project.
Yeah, great. I have one again about the application process, and that is if the unofficial Gmat score can be used for purposes of the application. Yes, that's absolutely fine. We will get the Gmat report anyway when the official score comes through. So there is also two separate questions, but the same question, and that is how much is Dutch language proficiency required to land roles presented in the employment report? Is Dutch language required for most jobs? So in the employment report that you see, that was from a class that was also 99% international, meaning that these were not Dutch speaking roles. So is Dutch language required for most jobs? Now, so you won't get, in terms of you won't get all the choice basically from all the jobs, because some jobs do require Dutch proficiency. And I think a really good way of having a look into that yourself is just go onto LinkedIn, go into the jobs, and you'll get a really good look and feel about some jobs do require, some jobs don't, you know. So you won't get the choice of 100% of the jobs, but there's still a lot of opportunity for English-speaking positions, because it is such an international country, and these are international companies like Amazon, Booking, Uber. So there is a lot of roles that that don't require Dutch proficiency. And the second part, there's another question from the same person. For a class size of 152, how are the students grouped into different sizes and for project groups? So there's 152 people, so 3 groups of 50, well, 1 group of 51 and 2 groups of 51 and 1 group of 50. They're further broken down then into project groups, 5 or 6 in each project group. And these project groups are shuffled by term, so that you're always kind of working with then different people in each term. We do this because we obviously want you to never get too comfortable and really have exposure to a different network of people all the time.
And just to add on, since we're talking about the Dutch language, because there was another question, is there support from RSM to learn Dutch? So within Erasmus University, there's a language center that you can actually go and take Dutch courses for sure while you are a student. Charlene earlier mentioned about your free time, which, trust me, is not too much. So if you want to spend some of your free time to learn Dutch during the year, you can do that. But please bear in mind that this will definitely not take you to a fluent level required for a professional to land a job. But at least it still can give you the ability to speak some Dutch so that you can start feeling, so you can start getting integrated within the society here. Okay, I'll take the next one. I closely work with an NGO, and few projects made a real impact. Along with that, I led a project in workplace I'm really proud of. Which of the above 2 scenarios should I focus on while writing the essay, or should I include both in the essay? It's really up to you. There's no right or wrong answer here. I always say, answer the question. If you want to share both experiences within sort of like the limit that we give you of about 500 words, then that's absolutely fine. If you want to focus on one of them as well, again, up to you. This is something also that if you make it to the interview stage, that for sure one of the interviewers will probably pick it up on that. And that's a place that you can also share in more detail, because again, 500 words sometimes might limit you. But as I always say about the essays, it's really answering to the point and not writing like a whole novel. So I hope that answers that question. So Arlene.
Yeah, I can answer a question there from Ravi. Great that you could make it, and not to worry that you missed a half an hour. It's recorded anyway, so you can always catch up. But the question is about the Gmat score and if we require a minimum. So we don't have a minimum score requirement. Just to give you an indication though, our average Gmat score is 640. Of course, there lies a range around this. So the Gmat is one part of the puzzle. It gives an indication of academic capability, but other parts of the puzzle is, how you communicate, your soft skills, and that kind of thing, and of course your professional history. So yeah, I hope that helps answer your question and gives you an indication of where you should be aiming for the Gmat score. Then there's another part to that question. I would like to know about part-time job. If students are allowed to do their MBA, do a part-time job during their MBA. Now, this is a tricky one because an MBA, full-time MBA is very busy. and you'll want to really get your return on investment. You really want to put your hours and your efforts into the network, the relationships, and of course the academic load. But of course, then there's the practical side of maybe you need some extra cash, right? And that's very realistic too. So with the visa, the student visa, for example, that you get for the MBA program. I'm sorry, I was having my phone. There is the possibility of working 16 hours a week. But really the challenge there is finding the time and trying to fit that in. So yeah, that's always a tough one, balance.
It is, plus there's also another thing just to quickly add here about this, about when you are here as with a student visa, there's also a limit on the hours that you can actually work during your studies. And that doesn't include an internship. So I also need to mention that. Okay. Okay, I'll take the next one, Charlene. Could you also talk a little bit about the Erasmus Center of Entrepreneurship and the relations between RSM? Yes, so the Erasmus Center of Entrepreneurship is a very important center of the Erasmus University, which all the RSM students and of course the MBA students have direct access to. Also throughout the year, we run 2 entrepreneurship boot camps that all the MBA students are able to attend if they want to, of course. It's not mandatory. And you can always visit the center. It's actually located in the Science Tower of in Rotterdam, at the Port of Rotterdam. So you can always visit the center to speak with different investors. They have over, I think there are over 100 startups that actually operate within the tower there. So you can always have those discussions if you have this entrepreneurial spirit that you would like to challenge yourself further. So there is a very, very strong connection between the school and the center. And I would say every year, quite a number of students do visit the center to start, challenging their minds, seeing what's out there, because yeah, maybe after a few years or even directly after your MBA, you might be interested to kick off something on your own.
Yeah, we have time for some more questions, and they're coming in fast. So thank you guys very much for your great questions. We're covering a lot of important ground here. So thank you for that. So I have a question here. Thank you for today's webinar. It was a pleasure. I was considering submitting application in April, but haven't gone through the consultation session. Should I postpone my application? No, absolutely not. If you wish, you can go ahead and send me your LinkedIn profile, and I can do an initial evaluation. I can say, yeah, go ahead and apply. So you certainly do that, but absolutely, if you're aiming for the 6th of April, go for it.
Awesome. Okay. So let's see here. I have questions regarding Gmat and Ielts. Yeah, an Ielts or a TOEFL is not a mandatory test for you to submit for your application. The Gmat or GRE though are mandatory. So we accept both. And as Charlene already mentioned earlier, we don't necessarily have a hard minimum required. Our average right now, our Gmat average is 640. And I think also this year we have interviewed people with a 580 and we have interviewed people with a 780. So again, it's just one part of your application. In your experience, is language a barrier for employment in certain industries? Again, not necessarily. Yeah, perhaps if you're looking for a job within an HR function, you might be required to speak Dutch because you might need to be able to learn more about the local labor laws and some rules and regulations. Although I do have a couple of friends who work in HR functions and they don't speak Dutch. But again, it could be a barrier, let's say. But again, going back to the fact that here in the Netherlands, we have an abundance of international companies operating out of the Netherlands. I'm sure you'll be able to find a job without speaking Dutch. Is there any chance if we have a gap in our studying after graduation? I think you're mentioning, okay, so you graduated from your bachelor's, you had a gap before you went on to work. That shouldn't necessarily be a problem as long as you meet the minimum requirement of 3 years of experience. And a lot of times this gap might raise some like a question, okay, what were you doing during that year? Some people travel the world. Some others, they go into volunteering projects. So again, I don't think that should stop you as long as you meet the rest of the requirements.
Yeah, I have a question here about age. I would like to know if there's any age limit for participating in the course. So just going back to the demographics earlier, in this year's class, the age range is from 25 being the youngest to 40 being our oldest student. So the average age is 30. I think between the ages of 38, 39, 40, in this year's class, there's about 5 or 6 students in that age range. And then, of course, then it's kind of the same in the 25-year-old age range. So, you know, there is a big gap there. There's people with 3 years experience, because that is our minimum requirement. And then there's students with upwards of 15 years experience. So I hope that kind of gives you an idea of the kind of the age range of our students.
And I would just like to add on this, Charlene, earlier you mentioned the tips and advice for the application, and you had a really nice graph there. And one of the points there was saying why. So you need to ask yourselves, why are you looking to do a full-time MBA? Whether you're 25 or 40, you still need to ask that question to yourself. So again, the age is not necessarily a factor that should stop you from applying, but as long as you're able to understand why are you looking to do an MBA, and even if a full-time MBA can potentially offer you and give you what you need. There's a question here that has been hanging for a while, so a few more minutes. How are students selected for the exchange programs? Who are some of the partner universities of RSM? We have a lot of different partners around the world, especially in North America, US and Canada, but also schools in Europe and Asia. So if you're interested for an exchange program, you need to declare your interest in February already. So the program starts in January. In February, you need to already declare your interest for an exchange. You'll get an official presentation by one of our colleagues from the program office, telling you who are the partner schools that they offer a position in that specific year. Normally, we have about 40 spots available year over year. And then you need to make your choice. So you select your top 3. So you go through an internal process with us. So you go through an interview with the academic director of the full-time MBA program, the director most of the times of admissions, and also an alumni who has done an exchange himself or herself. So you need to explain why do you want to do the exchange, and also why in that particular university. And another couple of things here. You cannot go for an exchange at a university of your own country. So if you're, for example, from Canada, you cannot do an exchange in a Canadian university because it defeats the purpose of doing the exchange. You can also not go for an exchange at a school that you had applied for the full-time MBA and you were rejected. And last but not least, the final tick that you need to have is that you need to successfully pass all your courses from the first term. So if you fail even one of those, then you cannot go for the exchange. So that's the final tick also from the academic perspective.
Okay, I think we've got time for one more question each. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here we go. Is there a recording? Good question. A recording of ACER interview session. Where can I find it? Yes, there is. If you go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, so Rotterdam School of Management, Erasmus University, you will find it there under videos. And you'll also find lots of other fun videos under there.
Okay. Okay, how long should I wait till I receive the final acceptance after I submit my application, as I have a deadline to submit in order to get the scholarship? Okay, so the round is closing down next week on Tuesday, the 6th of April. So after that, in order for you to go through the entire process till the final decision, if of course you're selected for the interview, etc., it's anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks. Also, for the scholarship, you don't need to apply separately. The moment you apply for the program itself, you will be automatically considered for the scholarship. So once you hear back with the final decision from our side, you will also get to hear whether you have been selected also as a scholarship recipient. I know we're on time. There are a few more questions here. So let's try, are internships a part of the program? No, it's not a mandatory part of the program. However, students, our Career Center can help you, especially during the last term, the 4th term, and after you're done with your courses, before you graduate, to look for an internship. Let's see. Have there been many deferrals from last year due to COVID? Does that limit the seats on offer this year? That's a good question. Yes, we did have more deferrals than normal, of course, due to COVID. This, of course, offer candidates who have secured their positions with their deposits for next year. They will have, of course, the ability to come back. We don't, right now, as we speak, we don't see that being an issue with the offer seats available for people coming from next year. So that shouldn't be a problem. Okay. Let's see. How involved are alumni in helping current students? For instance, it's important to have close alumni relationships and opportunities to meet them for future job connections. That's a very good question. Yes, our alumni are always connected with current and incoming students. I think Charlene is also doing an amazing job year over year to connect her candidates with alumni, people who have done transitions themselves that also the candidates are looking for. We have such a strong alumni network, and always our MBA alumni are so connected with the school. On the 15th of April, for example, we have an alumni panel discussion for our executive MBA program. People are always willing and to help out not only the school, but also you with your questions, with your concerns, with your challenges. Also last year, due to COVID, our Career Center did even more events connecting alumni with our students. And that's the last thing I will say here. We also have the mentorship program, I Mentor Me program within the MBA. So if you want to, you can sign up and you can have a mentor, one of our alumni being your mentor throughout the MBA. So, Charlene, I think we're really on time here. The questions keep coming in.
Yeah, it's difficult. The questions keep coming in, but you can, of course, reach out. I'll pop our email addresses up here. You can always reach out to us by email with any questions that remained unanswered. And for now, I would like to thank you very much for your active participation in today's webinar. It was a real pleasure, and I really hope to see your applications coming in, whether if it's ahead of the 6th of April or for the rounds following that. And as I said, please don't be shy. Reach out to one of the admissions team, which you see our email addresses here. We'd be happy to have a chat. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day and see you next time.